A little breathless this morning. I just put my first batch in. Just waiting for it to cook. I'll play a few more songs while I wait. Yeah. I better start baking. Hamlin, Townsend, Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The River Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied, but when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago. To see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, think goodbye gallons lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing." At this the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. "For a gilder high by hurling down cell, I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moisture, than two long opened oysters, save when he of his paunch grew neatness, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips were smile when out and in. There was no guessing his kick or kin, and nobody could have admired this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up with a trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table. "Please, Your Honor," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, who crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad, the newt and viper. People call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe to match with his coat of celtic check. And that scarf's end, on the pipe. His fingers, they noticed, were ever spraying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartaria friend Cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I ease in Asia the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation, and the astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew a magic step in his quiet sight to while. Like a musical adept who knows his pipe is in twinkle, and green and bluish sharp lights twinkled, like a candle flame with salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and a muttering grew to a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed by piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step to step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses grape, and moving away pickle tub boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking hoops of butter casks. It seemed as if a voice, sweeter far than by Harper by Solary's breed, called out, "Oh rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast for a saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just as a bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just as methought it said come bore me, and found the west rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells, they rock the steeple. Go, cried the Baron, get long poles, poke out the nets and block up the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders? The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc with Claret, Moselle, Vin de Grave, Hawk, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth Mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your coat. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was a joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promised a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the prime in the head cook's potage. All he's rich in, for having left in the Caleb's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait or stiver. The folks who put me in a passion, they find me a pipe after another fashion. How, cried the Baron, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vest your Bible. Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe with smooth straight cane, and airy blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as if musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling, a merry crowd justling and pitching and hustling, small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, and like foals in the farmyard barley scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping right merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb and the council stood, as if they're changed of blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, till the children merely skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosom beat as the piper turned from the high street, to where the west had rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. Howard returned from south to west, into Copperberg till his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. They never crossed the mighty top, his force let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stall. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced, and the children followed. When all were in, the very last, the door of the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. And in after years, if we blame his sadness, it used to say, "It's dull in our towns as my playmates laugh. I can't forget the time of breath. Of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For me that is, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town with jest at hand. The waters gushed and fruit trees grew, flowers before the fair hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was bred a peacock here, and our dogs around our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot was speedily cured. The music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, it came to many a burger's take, a text which says at heaven's gate, opes the rich at as easy rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east and west, north and south, offered the piper by word of mouth, Wherever it went was men's lot to find him. Silver and gold to his heart's content. If only he'd return the way he went and bring their children behind him. But when they saw it was lost endeavor, the piper and dancer were gone forever. They made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, in a better memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sure for his future to lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern, shocked with mirth the street so solemn. And opposite the place of the cavern, there was a story on a column, and on great church window painted, saying to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away. And there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say, in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way in dress, which their neighbors lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen, of some subterranean prison, into which they were Japan, a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers, of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats or from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, asking to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What saved the wailing with his lies and snare, all travelers who might find him posted there? And asked the road, I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph and pass him the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside and walk in his track with all the green lights of the dark tower, yet acquiescently at it turned as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin to end the tears, and takes a farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so often grit, so many times among the band of wit, the nights who too dark powers searching the rest of the steps, that just failed as they see best, and all doubt was now should I fail. So quiet is despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path appointed, all the day it being a dreary one at best, the dim was settling into his clothes, yet shot one grim red mirror to see the plain attention to stray. From Mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after a pace or two, and closet for back of the last view. Over the safe road was gone, brilliant, great plain all round, nothing but plains or horizon found, and must go on, much else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such stark and noble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect to see to grow, but chortle and spurs according to their law, might propagate their climb with plunge law. Take a bird and be a treasure trove. No Penry heard to sing the mace in some strange sort of word of land is portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly. If nothing steals, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment fire to secure this place. Calcine its claws and set my prisoners free. If they're pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chalk. Bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents, the dock's harsh source leaves, bruised to balk, holes and weakness, to the brute must walk, passion and life of the brute intense. As for the grass, it grew his head, terror and leprosy, thin dry blades, pricked blood, which underneath heated up with blood. One stiff flying horse, his every bone is there, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from a devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, gaunt, and calloped neck estranged, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart, as a man calls for wine before he fights. I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, a soldier's art. One taste of old times sets all to rights. Not it, I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold. An arm in mind to fix me to that place, that way he used. Alas, what night's disgrace. Oh, at my heart's will fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he dares. Good, but the scene shifts. Thaw what hanged in his hand into his breast of parchment. His own band greeted, poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that, back there forward my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Though the night sent a howl or a bat I asked, and something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sunlow river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came, new tides congenial to the wounds. This as it frothed by might have been a bath, the fiends going hoof, to see the wrath with black eddies bespat, flakes and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along those scrubby alders kneeled over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit rout of fit despair, a suicidal throng. I lost it. Fight must so have seemed in that foul sir. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading through that horrid muse. None out of it, mad druids set to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves turned pitchforks pastime Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there? What bad use was that engine for? That reel or brake not wheel, that narrow fit to reel men's bodies only still, with all the air of Coffin's tool, on earth left unaware, brought to sharpen its rescue teeth and steel. Then came some stub ground, once wood, next the marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool flying bird makes a thing and mars it, goes through changes and off he goes, within a rude long wave marsh, sand and stark black dirt. Now blotches rankling colored gay and grim, no patches where some leanness of the soil was broken and moss or substance like wood. Then came some stub ground, once wood, next the marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds birth, makes thing and mars until through changes and off he goes, within a rude bog plain marsh, sand and stark black dirt. Now blotches rankling colored gay and grim, now patches worse the leanness of the soil, broken moss and substances like boils. Then came some stub ground, once a wood, next the marsh you would see, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds birth, makes thing and mars till his mood changes enough he goes within a rude ball, blah, 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 blah. Hey, good morning. Hello. Those are looking pretty good. Just flip those around on the other side. I got 2 batches in the oven and 1 in the pot. Chat me up, chat. Oh, you left. Oh my god. Just not a very popular stream, am I? There was once a young man named Roland Pye who played the recorder when he wasn't baking bagels. One day he was walking through a park playing his recorder to rest a while from all his baking, when suddenly he spied a corpse lying on the ground beneath a swarm of flies. He put down his recorder, walked over to the corpse, shooed the flies away, and covered the dead man with stones. Returning to his oven later that day, he found that his oven blade had gone on by itself and already baked half the bagels he needed. From that day on, Roland Pye was the happiest baker alive. He'd bake until he was tired, and he'd pull his recorder out of his pocket while his oven blade went on by itself. But Roland Pye lived in a town whose mayor did not admire his skill and was jealous of his fame. So the mayor devised a plan to rid the town of Roland. In the beginning, he said that Roland was a good worker, but lazy. Next, he said that Roland baked a whole lot, but badly. Then he accused Roland of being a sorcerer. The people turned on him. Therefore, Roland Pye took his recorder and left his home behind. When Roland Pye came to a neighboring town, he went to all the business owners, but none of them would give him any work. Finally, he met old Buster and asked him for work to keep all your mind together. "Come along with me," said the old man, "and we will share alms." So Roland Pye and the old man started going around and singing. "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your well, although it is golden and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the knots and cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for things that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Everybody gave alms to the old man, but to Roland they said, "What is a young man like you out begging? Why don't you work for a living?" "Nobody will hire me," replied Roland Pye. "That's what you say. There's a king with so many hungry soldiers that he'll pay good wages to anyone willing to feed them." So Roland Pye went to the king's kitchen and took the old man whose alms had been cheering. The oven had never been used by anyone. Roland mixed the dough, then he rolled it into rings, then he boiled them, dressed them with seeds, and baked them until they're golden brown. Then he tossed them into a crate to cool down. Whenever Roland wearied of baking, he'd play his recorder. Once he was weary of playing his recorder, he'd sing, Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how do you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your well, although it is golden and good for hell. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the knots and cords an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for a thing that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are. Hearing the singing, a princess looked out the window. She saw Roland Pye and fell in love with him. But she was a princess, and he a baker. The king would never consent to their marriage. So they decided to run away together. They fled at night in a boat. They were already on the high seas when Roland remembered the busker. He said to his beloved, We must fetch the old man. Since he shared his alms with me, we can't go off and leave him like that. At that very moment, the old man came up behind the boat, walking on the water as though it had been dry land. Reaching the boat, he said, We agreed to divide everything we had, and I shared everything I owned. Now you have the king's daughter. You must give half of her to me. At this, he gave Roland Pye the knife to cut his bride in two. Roland Pye took the knife with a trembling hand. You are right, he said. You are perfectly right. He was on the point of cutting his bride in two, when suddenly the old man stopped him. Stop. I knew you were a just man. I'm the dead man, mind you, whom you covered with stones. Go now, and may the two of you always be happy. At this, the old man walked away on the waves. The boat came to an island rich in all good things, with a princely palace awaiting the newlyweds. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, government is instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect the safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for like transient causes. And experience accordingly has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer when evils are sufferable than right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they have become accustomed. But when long train of abuses and usurpations, all having a direct object, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces the design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of England is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused assent to laws most wholesome and necessary for the public good. was once a rich man who had just one son, and the boy was dearly loved by his father. As everybody knows, the greatest scourge on earth for a rich man is work. Therefore, when his son turned 14, the father decided to send him to school to learn the science of laziness. On the same street as the rich man, there lived a famous and highly respected professor who had never done a lick of work in his life he could get out of doing. The rich man called on him and found him stretched out in the garden under a fig tree with a cushion under his back, a cushion under his head, a cushion under his back, and a cushion under his buttocks. Before talking to him, I must first see how he does, said the rich man to himself. And he hid behind a hedge to observe the man. The professor stayed and lay as still as a corpse, with his eyes closed. The only time he stirred was whenever he heard the thud of a ripe fig falling on the ground near where he lay. He'd reach slowly out, bring the fig to his mouth, fruit to his mouth, and swallow it. Then he wouldn't stir again until another fig fell. This is just the professor my son needs, decided the rich man. And he came out from his hiding place, introduced himself, and asked the professor to teach his son the science of laziness. Old man, said the professor just above a whisper, don't talk so much. It tires me to listen to you. If you want to bring your son up as you and I are, just send him to me. So the rich man went home, took his son by the hand, thrust a feathered pillow under his arm, and led him to the garden. I urge you, he told him, to do everything you see this professor of idleness do. The boy, who already had an inclination for that particular science, also stretched out under the fig tree. Observing his teacher, he saw him reach for every fig that fell, and bring it to his mouth. Why should I work myself to death reaching for figs, he thought. He lay there with his mouth wide open. Soon a fig fell into his mouth, and he let it go down slowly. Then he reopened his mouth. Another fig fell. This time it missed. He lay there perfectly still and murmured, why so wide of the mark? Fig fall into my mouth. Seeing how wise his pupil already was, the professor said, go on now. You have nothing to learn from me. You can even teach me something. So the boy went home to his father, who thanked heaven for having given him such a smart son.